What's up, everybody, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Between the Cons. My name is Chris, and with me today, the Wonder Twin.
Woo!
Just one twin. Only
Only
half of the power rings today.
Exactly. In an unforeseen circumstance, Robert is stuck on a job currently. It is
9:40 at night.
9:36 at night. But
Jeez.
When you own your own business, sometimes the unexpected happens. So he sends his best wishes, and hopefully this will not be a common occurrence. But granted, we sound pretty much alike, so you probably maybe a little less, maybe a little more quiet. But certainly you're getting the same effect with one as you would both of us.
Just drop like half an octave between each of your pineapple points, and we'll never know the difference.
Exactly. I'll just do a quick swap between them each, and then we'll just go from there on it.
Yeah, it'll work. Trust me.
It will. I mean, of course, your wonderful wife offered to step in as Robert this week, which I'm certain he would be delighted with. So I'm sure she's a great impressionist, so she'll probably be doing half of these points anyway. So just keep in mind that we have pseudo Robert here doing every other point on this on this podcast this evening.
Oh man. That's I really hope you actually do that. That would be a lot of fun. But anyways, thanks to everybody for tuning in. For everybody that is new to the show, we're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Follow us. All of those things are
we on MySpace? Between
the Cons. We are not on MySpace because we're self-respecting individuals. Sorry, JT, but nobody wanted to get back on the MySpace train.
And
HTML was just a little hard for people.
It was, man. I'm just so sad I can't have 30-second clips of singles on my Facebook page. So sorry.
Yeah, I'm not. But anyways, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, as well as Google Play, iHeartRadio, all sorts of places. If you're listening to this on our website, you can also, or if you're not listening to this on our website, you can also listen to it on our website, betweenthecons.com/listen, stream our episodes online, all sorts of fun places. And wherever you listen, leave comments, leave reviews, do those things because we like them and they're good for us. Because Apple,
like Flintstones vitamins,
Apple uses this weird algorithm that bases the popularity of a show on reviews. So the more reviews we have, the more popular we are, I guess, according to iTunes. And in reality, isn't it all about the nerd being popular? Let's be real.
Of course, totally. Makes perfect sense. Yeah. Every single high school trope leads up to that. So clearly.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of movies from the 80s, and that's kind of the theme.
It is, absolutely. Life is a John Hughes film. You are correct.
But anyways, we've got a Topic Thunder, we've got a Pineapple episode for you. Topic Thunder is on Mondays. But we're going to hit the headlines, give you guys some nerdy news, give you our stance. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We're going to have a pineapple situation. What should I do? Pineapple. The word that cannot be spoken. Pineapple.
Just want to say pineapple. If
Pineapples are fun. My dad used to throw them at me.
Pineapple.
Seriously? Wow.
And pineapple, in our first pineapple point...
I love that you said R. Like there's more than one of you there.
Force a habit. So he might be here, he might not be here. Who really knows?
It's a trap.
Yes. Spoiler alert. Anthony Daniels did not like Jar Binks.
Welcome to the majority.
This is probably a view held by most self-respecting people, such as yourselves. But according to Space.ca, a really weird source, by the way. But at Fan Expo Canada 2017, Anthony Daniels had amusing, playfully combative interactions with the audience throughout it. But then an unapologetic Jar Jar Binks fan came on stage to solicit Daniels' opinion on Jar Jar Binks, and Anthony Daniels was pretty polite.
Time out.
The guy. Yeah.
A fan of Jar Jar Binks.
Apparently.
Is that just like a troll? Is that what that is? Because I feel like that's the only kind of person that can be a fan of Jar Jar Binks.
I imagine there's like this one guy out there that probably legitimately liked Jar Jar. I mean, there's that one person that just thought he was just hilarious.
Yeah, was he 4 when the prequels came out?
He probably was, and he probably has Jar Jar Binks a bedroom suit, and he probably has it's probably his costume of choice at all of the cons he attends. Ugh. And he probably horrifies his wife and children with his obsession. Maybe it's even driven his marriage into a state of disrepair. I don't know. These are all just speculations here about one's Jar Jar Binks obsession.
Speculations, hopes, whatever you would call them.
Exactly. But Anthony Daniels, essentially his opinion of Jar Jar Binks is Jar Jar was created by George Lucas, and he employed an actor, Ahmed Best, who's a terrific actor, terrific mover, terrific and inventive brain, highly intelligent, did exactly what George asked him to do. George's son Jet was thrilled by that performance that Ahmed did perfectly, but Jet was 10 years old. Now, I wasn't.
Oh my gosh.
So for me, Jar Jar was a bit like the Ewoks. I've grown past that stage. 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 8-year-olds adored Jar Jar. It was a very, very good thing to do. So I hugely admire Ahmed Best. He got very bad press for doing it, and Jar Jar was not for me.
Yeah, and just really quick, for those of you that don't know the name Anthony Daniels, that's C-3PO.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying.
So that whole quote... the reason I wanted to clarify that is that whole quote might as well have come out of C-3PO's mouth. Like, that was like just enough sass to actually be C-3PO.
Exactly. It really makes sense. I also want to kind of note how Anthony Daniels' comments kind of sound like Donald Trump tweets, talking about Ahmed Best. He's a terrific actor. He's a terrific mover, terrific inventive brain. He got very bad press for doing it. Jar Jar was not for me. It was not for me. So, Anthony Daniels may have a future in tweet writing, perhaps, maybe, sort of. I don't know.
You can be the head of PR for the White House.
He can absolutely be a very, very, very good thing. So, but that aside, so yeah, you can feel rest assured when you go to sleep at night that one of the main actors in the Star Wars saga agrees with your dismissal of Jar Jar as a amusing part of the Star Wars prequels. Pineapple.
So we've talked about the Hellboy reboot a few times. I think almost every episode in the last, every Pineapple episode in the last month. But got some additional information. It's gonna be a quick one. Just throwing it out there. The movie's shooting in Bulgaria and the UK, and it is about Hellboy going to England, where he must defeat Nimue, who is Merlin's consort and the Blood Queen. Their battle will bring about the end of the world, a fate Hellboy desperately tries to turn away. So that's it. I mean, there's not really a whole lot. I just thought we've talked about it so much. There's been so much hype about it on the show amongst the co-hosts. Everybody, most people are fans of Hellboy. I can't say everyone is a fan of Hellboy. That's a very absolute statement. I almost said it again. Most people are a fan of Hellboy, the BPRD. So I think that this is something, especially with David Harbour from Stranger Things running point as Big Red is going to be really interesting, really exciting to see. The horror take on it instead of kind of the goofy, dark sci-fi comedy or like mythical comedy, I guess, that Ron Perlman's version was. Guillermo del Toro's version was with Ron Perlman. It's going to be really interesting. I'm really excited to see it. It's coming out late 2018. We don't have an exact date yet, but yeah, we'll be getting more information. I think this movie's going to be awesome. That's just me.
Oh yeah.
Pineapple.
Well, Lego has outdone themselves, and they have produced the largest Lego set ever. And for those of you that love Lego and love Star Wars, it is a Millennium Falcon. According to comic book resources, Lego's unveiled the latest set in its Ultimate Collector Series line of Legos. Now, to give you some background, this Ultimate Collector Series is probably Lego's most ambitious set that they've done. It started ambitious. Yeah, I mean, so it started, I'm going to say, maybe 15 years ago, because I'm sitting right across from one of the first Ultimate Collector Series Lego sets, which was the X-Wing. So I built that as a youth, and it sits here kind of across from me. So I've got an Ultimate Collector set X-Wing there, and Robert has an Ultimate Collector set TIE Fighter. So those were the first two Ultimate Collector Series sets to come out. So all these years ago, and now they're coming out. I think they did the Millennium Falcon earlier. So I think this is kind of a redo of it. But it's the largest kit the toy manufacturer has ever produced. It is made from 7,541 pieces.
Good Lord.
This is a big joker. It's easily topping the former record holder, which was a Taj Mahal model that was only made up of 5,922 pieces. So that
just hurts. I think of like 1,000-piece puzzles and how it takes like my wife and I combined like a week to put together at least a week to put together a 1,000-piece puzzle. And then you talk about like a 7,500-piece Lego set.
Yeah,
oh my gosh. And like a Lego set that you want to glue together. Like you want to glue it in. You don't want to just put it together because you don't want to risk a piece falling off.
Exactly.
When there are 7,500 pieces.
Exactly. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this is insane. And for reference, just speaking from my own experience, the original two Ultimate Collector series, to give you an idea of how much larger this has become, the X-Wing Ultimate Collector series was just 1,200 pieces. And I believe the TIE Fighter was around 600 pieces. So over this decade and a half, I believe it's been, this is just... It's gigantic. The length, width, and height of it is 33 inches long, 22 inches wide, and 8 inches tall. So this is
3 foot by 2 foot, essentially.
Exactly.
Jeez Louise. I do have to interject really quick.
Yeah.
Because Robert just texted.
Yes.
And Robert, for those of you that don't know, the first names of the Wonder Twins.
Yes, exactly.
Robert is the missing twin.
Yes.
And he texted me and said, "This is Robert. Can I request Freebird by Tupac Shakur?" You are a radio station. You are a radio station, right? So I'm gonna text him back and be like, whatever you want, we play what the people need to hear. There we go.
Exactly.
Also, I am not playing that song because I don't think that song exists.
I don't think so, and I hope Robert feels like paying the royalties to Tupac Shakur's estate for such a request as
and or Leonard Skinner.
Exactly.
However we decide, maybe we'll just play California 11 and or California Love and Freebird at the same time.
I was more thinking maybe a karaoke cover of Hollywood Nights by Bob Seger, with MIDI background, just completely, and we'll just loop it about 28 times.
Yeah, there you go.
Pretty good, I think. I think that'll get it done.
Yeah, just loop that song for a few hours, and that'll be the podcast tonight.
Exactly. It'll probably be our biggest rated one. Certainly all those reviews will just come in 5-star, 5-star. But back to our Millennium Falcon. We love you, Robert. back to Millennium Falcon. The inside of the Falcon is as detailed as the outside, featuring a cockpit large enough to fit 4 minifigures, a gunner's seat, and a set of radar dishes, original issue, and the new dish featured in the current trilogy. So they're not only doing the originals, but also the new set of dishes on the new Millennium Falcon as of the newest sequels.
Yeah, and also, there's some. Oh, yeah. Well, you go.
Sorry.
I was gonna segue for you.
Okay, they're the minifigures also that are included are young and old Han Solo and Chewbacca with Leia, Rey, Finn, BB-8, and even more. And it features a Minot creature from Empire Strikes Back and several Porgs from the upcoming Last Jedi, and
that are adorably disgusting.
I'll need to go look those up. I've not actually seen the Porgs, so I will need to take your word for it.
They are some creatures. I'll say that.
And, if you just are looking for something to spend $799.99 on, this is what you want to spend it on, clearly. So if you've got $800 burning a hole in your pocket and you have time to assemble an almost 8,000 piece Lego set, and you don't have parents or a spouse that will kill you, you should probably get this.
I would love that Millennium Falcon. I would never pay $800 for a Lego set.
It's really crazy the prices on these Ultimate Collector Series stuff, because even these original ones, like mint in box, is like, I want to say $1,000. Like, it's insane. And even the cost of like ones that are disassembled in like Ziploc bags, the sets go for crazy amounts of money.
That's insane.
I'm not saying that it's going to get more expensive than $800 later on down the road,
but it will. It
probably will. So if you're looking for something to fund your kid's college and you don't mind parting with something you probably spent 3 or 4 weeks building, then you should probably make this investment. Pineapple. Oh, and it launches October 1st. So pineapple.
There's the pineapple. So speaking of Star Wars Episode 9 has lost its director.
Oh no.
We must travel to a galaxy far, far away without Colin Trevorrow. Which, as far as I'm concerned, great. Colin Trevorrow, I don't feel super comfortable with him. I never felt super comfortable with him. He did Safety Not Guaranteed, which was a great independent film. And then he turned around and did Jurassic World, which was a terrible movie, but was a fun, nostalgic sequel. And that's all it had going for it. And then just recently did The Book of Henry, which has excellent scores across the board. I'm lying. It's got terrible scores. So I don't really, I don't, I'm not heartbroken over him leaving the project. But Lucasfilm did release a statement. Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow have mutually chosen to part ways on Star Wars Episode 9. Colin has been a wonderful collaborator throughout the development process, but we have all come to the conclusion that our visions for the project differ. We wish Colin the best and will be sharing more information about the film soon. I think this is great. I think this is a great move. And despite how much I hate seeing Phil Lord and Chris Lord and Phil Miller. Lord and Miller.
Yes, let's go with that.
Off of the Han Solo project. I enjoy seeing Ron Howard on it. Phil Lord and Chris Miller. I just looked it up. As much as I hate seeing them off that project, and as much as I like Colin Trevorrow going off of this project, and as much as I like Ron Howard coming on to the Han Solo project, it speaks volumes for me about Lucasfilm. I think it shows that Lucasfilm is being very, very firm about how these movies are being made, and they're being very careful to not have another prequel situation where that was my biggest concern with Colin Trevorrow was with Jurassic World. He made a fun movie. Jurassic Park was great. Everybody loves Jurassic Park. Jurassic World was goofy, over the top action film remake for the sake of nostalgia, or sequel for the sake of nostalgia. Star Wars is not that kind of series. It's just not that kind of saga that you step into and you make a sequel for the sake of nostalgia. The fan base is vast and very, very opinionated and very, very passionate. And I think that, especially with the Han Solo film, that's a character that is greatly loved by everyone who likes the series, loves Han Solo. So it's the kind of thing where Lucasfilm is really looks like they're stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, this is how this movie's going to go, and we're not going to budge because we budged and made the prequels.
Yeah,
and we're not doing that again.
And it seems really, it's a little bizarre to me that Lucasfilm was going with these kind of what you would call risky directors to begin with their films, like Lord and Miller, Pedigree's 21 Jump Street, and then Trevorrow, whose pedigree you already kind of went over.
Right. Well, I think Lord and Miller,
World, and then
I think Lord and Miller are a little different because Han Solo has always kind of been, I don't want to say the goofball, but he's always kind of been the comic relief hero, serious when he needs to be, but overall he's like cracking jokes and he's got quips for every situation. So Lord and Miller made a little bit more sense because they're comedy directors. It's a very, very vast difference to bring in Ron Howard. So I'm really interested to see what that movie is going to come out to be after having Lord and Miller and flipping to Ron Howard. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying is J.J. Abrams did The Force Awakens. Like, tried and true, very, very well-equipped sci-fi director with a great resume up to that, or mostly great resume up to that point. Say what you will about, like, the Star Trek movies and things like that. But great movies under his belt. Super 8. Like he did a lot of work on Alias. The Star Trek movies kind of showed that he could do the space thing. Lost. Things like that. Young director for Force Awakens, but tried and true in the sci-fi realm. And then Lord Miller and Colin Trevorrow. Just I like it. I like that Lucasfilm is putting their foot down. Finally.
Yeah, definitely. They do not want to end up with egg on their face, especially with so much money riding on this franchise and the decision. So
Well, they already
good on
have
them.
they already have so much egg on their face.
They do, absolutely.
Thanks,
They're just now getting
to
to a good
spineless
spot.
George. Like
They can't.
they can't afford to not be firm.
And especially with Star Wars lands being built in, Disneyland and Disney World. So they it's they just can't afford any bad press.
Exactly.
So I don't blame them.
Oh, absolutely not. But yeah, I'm excited that Colin Trevorrow's off that movie, and I'm really interested to see who they bring in. But as soon as we find out, we will let you fine internet people know all about it. So stay tuned. Pineapple.
So with Colin Trevorrow off of the episode 9, the speculation is rampant as to who is going to take his place. And according to Gizmodo, everybody's got all this speculation. Is it going to be J.J. Abrams? Is it going to be this person? Is it going to be that person? But the reality is that we already knew 40 years ago who's going to direct this last sequel. It is George Lucas. Because apparently in 1977, a few months after the first Star Wars film was released and became a massive hit, George Lucas did an interview with Rolling Stone and said the following: "I think the sequels will be much, much better. What I want to do is direct the last sequel. I could do the first one and the last one and let everyone else do the ones in between." So I guess case closed, game over. The deal is done. Clearly it's going to be George Lucas doing this 40 years ago. So clearly he called dibs, guys. No way anybody else is getting a hold of episode 9.
I wonder. So I like Star Wars a lot. I am a big fan of Star Wars. I don't know. I'm not one of those people that knows like every little thing about Star Wars. But I am looking right now to see who directed the prequels. Because I know George Lucas did Phantom Menace. So he did New Hope, Phantom Menace. He also did Attack of the Clones.
Oh, okay.
He also did Revenge of the Sith.
Wow.
I think Ivan Kershner did Empire Strikes Back. I'm literally looking this up as I'm talking. Yeah, Ivan Kershner did Empire, and then Return of the Jedi was done by Richard Marquand. Marquand. I don't know how to say his last name. But that's really interesting. The sequels will be much better. He basically said the sequels will be much better because other people will do them. And then the movies that sucked were the ones that he came back to do. So who knows? Maybe George Lucas will come back and he will surprise us all with Star Wars Episode 9. I seriously doubt it because Disney owns it now.
So he is so salty about how the deal with Disney happened. Like he is. I can respect George Lucas for starting the franchise. Without George Lucas, there would be no Star Wars.
Right.
And without George Lucas, the franchise would still not be relevant. I'm honestly, without the prequels, we would not be getting new movies and it would still not be relevant. So George Lucas kept the franchise going, even though the decisions he made are sometimes boggling. But I think he's really shot himself in the foot with the interviews he's given and the really sour attitude he's had about the deal with Disney. So I don't think they want to let him anywhere near the property.
Well, let's just say this. I do not feel bad for George Lucas. Not a tiny little bit. Why, do you ask? Because George Lucas's net worth is $5 billion.
That's insane.
He's doing all right. Sure, he made a deal. He sold the Star Wars property to Disney. But he sold the Star Wars property to Disney for $4 billion when it was in the Star Wars dark ages of the post prequel aftermath.
Uh-huh.
And he still wound up selling it for $4 billion. I do not feel bad for George Lucas.
No.
Thank you, George Lucas, for making A New Hope and stepping away. And then when you realized that you couldn't carry this thing on your shoulders like you wanted to, you made the decision to let it go and give it to a company 5 years ago that could do something with it that made it suck less after the absolute dumpster fire that you started with episodes 1 through 3. So I don't feel bad for George Lucas.
Absolutely.
Not even
So I don't blame you one bit. And I think that makes perfect sense. And look forward to George Lucas directing episode 9. You heard it here first on Between the Cons. Be sure to tag us, retweet this, put it all over Facebook. It's not fake news. Clearly, we're a legitimate source of reputable Star Wars insider tips. Pineapple.
So we talked a couple weeks ago with Chris too on the show about the Bumblebee Transformers spinoff. So it has been, this is like a rumor, by the way. According to the hashtag show, Joshua Sasse, I'm going to guess is how you pronounce his name, not spell his name. That would be a stupid thing to say. Joshua Sasse, S-A-S-S-E, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm not going to pretend like I do. From hits like Gallivant, Frankenstein's Army. That's pretty much it. He was in Rogue, which was a TV show. No Tomorrow, also a TV show. He is in the running to play Shazam as a tentative contender. Another tentative contender, is why I brought up the Bumblebee thing, is John Cena. Why is John Cena getting so much press in Hollywood right now? Like, why is everyone throwing... I'm going to play his theme song under this entire Pineapple Point.
You need to.
So you don't have to make the sounds. But I don't understand, why is John Cena like getting so many not offers, but like, why is he being considered for so many jobs in Hollywood? He's not a good actor. He was a wrestler. Dwayne Johnson was a wrestler. Great. He did a wrestling thing. Let's look back. John Cena's last movie was what? That you can remember, where he was like a main character.
He was Fred's dad in the Fred movies.
A main
Fred,
character.
The internet star. Fred of YouTube fame. Clearly being Fred's dad was the highlight of John Cena's acting career.
The last time he was a main character in a movie, I think, was The Reunion, maybe? And that was 2011?
Wow.
I think. I know, he appeared in Trainwreck, he was in Parks and Rec, he was in Sisters, he was even in Daddy's Home, and he's going to be in Daddy's Home too. But other than that, he's a wrestler. He's still he is still wrestling after 13 years.
Yeah, it comes down to with wrestlers, and we keep up with some of the wrestling world just because it's a childhood interest of ours.
Yeah, it's Alabama. It's okay.
It is, exactly. It's Alabama. But the the common ground between Dwayne The Rock Johnson and John Cena is their likability, and they sell and shift merchandise. Their name recognition, their face recognition. Like, it does not matter if John Cena can act or not. He gets butts in the seats. So it's like when John Cena's in something, you get youth, you get young.
Well,
adults.
here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Warner Brothers does not need something else to suck in their movies. like to be completely blunt, because we all know how I feel about DC and Warner Brothers and just the garbage juice that oozes out of those theaters.
Right.
They don't need something else that sucks. And John Cena is not a good actor, in my opinion. He is good in... He's a good wrestler. He is a very strong, scary man. Scary looking, overpowering man. But I saw The Marine. I'll admit that. 2006. John Triton. It was not a good movie. He is good in roles where he has one line. In Shazam, a primary character with a standalone movie, that is not something that you want to put in the hands of John Cena. Now,
I mean, it's one thing, well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's one thing with, like, I guess when you have, like, a good side of it, which I guess it depends on your definition of good, with, like, Dave Bautista as Drax, because he fits the role. Like, it's not,
exactly.
This doesn't take you out of character. He laughs.
He's a meathead character.
Yeah, so I mean, but he's great at it. Like, who else could be in that role? But continue with what you're saying.
But Dwayne Johnson, I brought up Dwayne Johnson because here's the thing. Dwayne Johnson, by no means, is an Oscar-winning, extraordinary actor.
Right.
But he's decent.
Right.
He gets the job done. He makes it believable. And he knows the roles that he should not take.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, Dwayne Johnson, I don't know if it was ever confirmed, but there are a lot of rumors flying around about Dwayne Johnson eventually entering into the DCEU as Black Adam, which is a villain to Shazam. So if John Cena is cast as Shazam and Dwayne Johnson is cast as Black Adam, there will be a wrestling pun DC movie title to come out in theaters. And that, as a fan, as a absolute Marvel fanboy that has a great deal of appreciation and a great deal of interest in DC, but not as much passion for DC.
Right.
It hurts the deepest depths of my soul to think Warner Brothers, I guarantee you, will not stray away from a punny wrestling-related movie title if Black Adam is played by Dwayne Johnson and Shazam is played by John Cena. They will absolutely go for a wrestling pun, and I don't trust them not to use it. I really don't. I really don't trust them to not do that.
And I could guarantee you that Mick Foley and Shawn Michaels will cameo in it. They're just gonna show up. It's just gonna happen.
It's like it will be called like Shazam No Mercy, or like they will take a wrestling event like WrestleMania or SmackDown or Raw or something, and they will integrate that into their title in some way, and I can't stand it. But moving on from my John Cena rant, we did also get a brief, very vague plot synopsis for Shazam. So that is this. Based on the DC Comics character Shazam, Billy Batson becomes Captain Marvel, the world's mightiest mortal, when he says the magic word Shazam. The name is an acronym for 6 gods and heroes of the ancient world, as well as their attributes: the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, courage of Achilles, and the speed of Mercury. So that's the synopsis. Very vague. That's pretty much just an elevator speech for Billy Batson, Captain Marvel, Shazam. I don't want to see John Cena in the role. I get that he's the body type. I totally get it. But for the love of all things holy and the respect for yourself, please do not cast John Cena.
I mean, in a good thing, you said you would see him, but you can't see me, John Cena!
Pineapple.
I'm waving my hand in front of my face, but you can't see it.
I can't.
Pineapple.
I can't.
Sorry about that ear screeching John Cena music. So yeah. That was an interesting point. I liked your ranting. Okay, so according to Kotaku, Mario is no longer a plumber. Kind of
Interesting.
Weird point there. Because apparently in Mario's newly updated official Japanese language profile, the iconic character isn't working as a plumber. Essentially, the Japanese translation, the translation to English says about Mario: all around sporty, whether it's tennis or baseball, soccer or car racing, he does everything cool. As a matter of fact, he also seems to have worked as a plumber a long time ago. I mean,
So he's retired.
Apparently, I guess it's fairly simple to assume that synopsis makes sense, because we've never actually seen him aside from brief clips from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show cartoon.
I was about to ask, does a very long time ago mean 1989?
Exactly. I mean, yes, with Lou Albano,
Right.
and Danny Wells. Clearly, that was his last foray into plumbing.
Apparently.
So that's. So yeah, and really the most recent example of Mario doing anything plumbing related was the intro to Super Mario 3D World, where Mario fixes a tilted pipe. He just kind of beats on it some, and the pipe goes upright. So it's not like he's really done anything plumbing related besides going through pipes for the past 30 years. And according to Miyamoto, Mario started in 1981 as a character called Jumpman, and he was basically a carpenter in that game, in the original Donkey Kong. So it's not like Mario has even always been a plumber.
He's just a handyman.
He is. I mean, and even throughout the different games he's been in, he's been a referee. He's been a golfer. He's been, construction guy in Wrecking Crew. He's
also
done
1993. Also 93, he was a plumber. Bob Hoskins.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yep.
Oh, don't remind me.
Yeah.
No,
I will remind you every time. I love the Super Mario Brothers movie. I know it is terrible. I know it is absolute garbage.
Oh my god.
And I love Bob Hoskins. I love John Leguizamo. Dennis Hopper is a genius in that movie. Fisher Stevens, the other guy. I can't remember his name. But But I love that movie. I love it.
I'm not ashamed that we own 2 $5 copies from Walmart on DVD.
Yeah.
It was just such a great deal. We bought 2 of them.
I love it. It's terrible, but it is very much a guilty pleasure.
So bad it's good. Ugh. But yes, so if somebody ever asks you, "Hey, is Mario still a plumber?" you can safely tell them, probably not.
Yeah.
Pineapple.
Apparently. So kind of back on the Star Wars bus for a second. Paul Bettany, who those of you familiar with the MCU might know as The Vision, he has joined the cast of Han Solo, or of the Han Solo movie. Really, really interesting. he is going to be playing some character who we don't know much about. But Ron Howard posted a selfie to Twitter with Paul Bettany saying the Outer Rim just got a little bit wilder. Hashtag Paul Bettany, hashtag Force Friday. It was speculated that he was replacing Michael K. Williams, who is from The Wire, because Michael K. Williams could not return to do reshoots when Ron Howard came on after Phil Lord and Chris Miller left the project. But Deadline is reporting that he's going to be playing a completely different character, which, cool. I think that would be kind of messed up if you replaced, I mean, we talked about this on the podcast. If you replaced a black character with a white guy, it'd be kind of messed up. But Paul Bettany, I love Paul Bettany. He is super talented. I mean, obviously he was in Iron Man. He's been in the MCU since Iron Man as the voice of Jarvis all the way up to the Vision in Age of Ultron. Before that, he was in Master and Commander. He was in Beautiful Mind. He's been in these excellent films, but also in really ridiculous films like A Knight's Tale, where he played Geoffrey Chaucer. He was in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. He's been in a lot of movies, and he's the kind of guy who, at least in my opinion, is always a standout character no matter who he's playing. So I think that's really exciting to see that he's going to be jumping into another Disney property in the untitled Han Solo film coming out next year. So I'm really excited about that. That's one great thing that I think Ron Howard is doing, is bringing him on. That being said, and potentially, hopefully, completely unrelated, I am sad to see that Michael Kenneth Williams from The Wire, 12 Years a Slave, those The Road, Gone Baby Gone, RoboCop, those movies, that he's not going to be able to come back and get his reshoots, because I think he's really great, and he's, at least from a villain standpoint, he's a really good actor. I really like him a lot.
Shame.
Yeah.
But
I think it's cool. I think it's cool to see Paul Bettany in it. I think that he's going to bring a lot to the table. Not that there's like an underwhelming cast on the Han Solo project. It's pretty stout already. So yeah, I'm excited to see Paul Bettany in the Han Solo movie, and that's pretty much all I had to say. So, pineapple.
So the Nintendo Switch, in case you've not heard about it, it's kind of been a monster success for Nintendo so far.
Finally.
Yes, it's really outpaced the Wii U. People seem to just universally love the thing. So it's really, I mean, it's been really impressive. We personally got a Switch, finally picked one up probably about a month to month and a half ago. We waited a while, then the stock shortages were pretty bad, but we've been playing Breath of the Wild nonstop. Very addictive game. We still already have a backlog of between Mario and Rabbids and Splatoon 2 and Mario Odyssey. We still haven't gotten out of Breath of the Wild. So we've got quite a backlog ahead of us. But yeah, so the Nintendo Switch, and as most people know, it has 32 gigs of onboard storage with an option to put a micro SD card in it to expand the storage.
Which is not a lot compared.
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, 32 gigs, it's reasonable, sort of, but if you do a bunch of download games...
Well, I mean, compared to other home consoles, obviously, yeah. The Switch, it has the portable element to it. But you look at the PlayStation 4, you look at the Xbox One, coming standard with 500 gigs out of the gate.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a big difference there. And most people who are serious are probably going to get an SD card, micro SD card anyway, to expand the storage. But, you know, all that to say this, that according to IGN UK, Nintendo's revealed, and I mean, so far, to also make note of this, whenever you buy a retail Nintendo Switch game, retail, not talking download, retail, you have not had to have an SD card to play the game. Like, it's straight up, most of the data data is on the cartridge. There may be a little bit of download data that, you know, to improve the experience, just small amounts of files.
Save games, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. Just glitches and bugs and things of that nature to fix. So you have not had to have a micro SD card until now, apparently, where Nintendo's revealed that some future retail Switch games will require you to own a micro SD card in order to play them. And this came to light because of NBA 2K18, a third-party game, becoming the first physical game that requires additional storage to be present. So, essentially saying NBA 2K18, you cannot fully play this game unless you have a micro SD card. Even if you buy the retail version, you have to have a micro SD card.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, you would think that. They go on to say, while the game won't be entirely unplayable, it said that a portion of each title will be available out of the box, even without a micro SD card. You'll be able to play part of the game. You're not going to be able to play the entire game without a micro SD card.
Yeah.
Why this matters, though, what's ticking some people off is that these companies could technically buy larger game cards to put these games on. Like, if these third parties wanted to pony up the money to put their game on a 64 gig SD card, or even like a 32 gig SD card, if they could do it if they wanted to, but they're opting to kind of put it on the back of the consumer. If you buy retail, like personally, Robert and I enjoy buying retail games. We're not against download when you absolutely have to, but there's just something about having a physical copy of a game. I mean, sure, it's a little more hassle, especially with the Switch, to pop out and pop in cartridges, but it's just nice to have a physical copy of something you buy, especially if you're having to pay just as much for a download as you would a retail copy.
Right. If you're dropping 60 bones, it's nice to have something you can touch and feel.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but it's still strange how essentially it appears that developers and publishers are going to be shifting the burden of storage from their own cartridges onto the consumer to be able to enjoy the entirety of the game. I mean, Nintendo has confirmed this. I mean, they've put out, straight up just said, to enjoy the full game, downloading additional data is required, depending on the storage requirements for each game. It may be necessary to purchase a micro SD card to expand storage space. So essentially they're saying that, to play some games in the future, you're going to have a micro SD card, even if it's a retail. And I mean, part of it, it's not really so much of a big deal as much as storage prices are dropping. I mean, I don't foresee this being a huge issue for most people. But it's still even first-party games like Breath of the Wild, Nintendo tends to rein in the size of the games. They make spectacular games without overblowing the file sizes to crazy amounts. So third parties, though, don't seem to have that same respect for file size constraints. It doesn't matter what size the file is.
I think it would have a lot to do with content as well. Right. I mean, Nickelodeon, oh my gosh. Nintendo they've kind of slated their fame on making cartoony games.
Right.
Whereas when you have a game like NBA 2K18, you're pushing the graphics. You have so much more poured into realistic graphics and I'm gonna catch a lot of heat for this, but more realistic movements, more realistic motion capture. So you have a lot more, even in the basic physics of the game. You're looking at so much more development, so much more detail that you don't have in Breath of the Wild. You don't see sweat dripping off of Link's forehead when he climbs a hill.
Yeah.
When LeBron James or whoever you're playing with in NBA 2K18, when he runs down the court a couple times, he starts to get sweaty. So you have to you have to take that into consideration, and then all this other stuff. And I don't think it's a lack of respect or pushing something onto a consumer as much as it is like it's a more stout game. Like it's
Yeah.
and I don't want to say that as like a knock to Nintendo, because Nintendo makes great titles for the most part. I played the Mario Kart game for Nintendo Switch. Super fun. Loved it. I've seen a lot of people play Breath of the Wild. I've never played it myself, but looks like a lot of fun. I love Nintendo's titles. Love them. But they don't make stout games. They don't.
Right.
They
And
make long story mode games like Breath of the Wild. But when you're looking at something like NBA 2K18, it's just so much more.
It is. And then also, I think the other consideration is 2K18 is being ported to a bunch of other systems. So obviously, these companies would catch more flack for gimping the Switch version due to, supposed file constraints instead of. So I honestly don't blame them for wanting to give Switch fans as full of an experience as they can. And if that means they have to put out a giant game, that is completely understandable. And they don't want to spend a ton of time having to port to the Switch and having to cut down on the game and
scale
cut features.
Down.
They want to, So I mean, it's just different strokes for different development studios, and so it makes sense. And I think maybe this whole controversy is a bit overblown. I think that as cheap as micro SD cards are, I don't foresee it being a huge issue unless I don't think Nintendo games, like first party games, are going to be affected. But if you're a third party gamer, you probably just want to be sure you have a micro SD card on hand.
Yeah, and it doesn't even say like how much space it's going to take. So like it might be like the cheap $10 one.
Yeah.
So you're paying $70 to play a game. Like you're paying $10 more out of pocket. Like it's not the worst thing in the world, given it's way too expensive anyways. I think game prices are obscene, but that's a totally different conversation. Maybe that'll be our next topic, Thunder, when you guys are on the set or on the show. When Robert's actually here, we can talk about game prices.
Yes, absolutely. But you may want to pick up a micro SD card for your Nintendo Switch for future-proofing reasons. And Pineapple.
So we didn't write our notes at the same time, but we did a really great job of accidentally planning them around each other.
Exactly. Yes.
We piggybacked off of the Star Wars thing a couple times, and I'm actually going to piggyback off the gaming thing. Call of Duty World War II is coming out in November, and I'm a huge fan of Call of Duty. Huge fan. I've been playing since Call of Duty, the first one. And I love it.
You've talked about everybody's mom. That's how long you've been playing. Like
right.
Every single teenage boy in the world, you've talked about their mom.
Yeah, I have said terrible things about millions of people's mothers. But no, I love Call of Duty. I love it so much. And honestly, to be completely straight with you, I've fallen off the bandwagon, if you would call it that. Two Call of Duties ago. So the last one I played was Advanced Warfare, and I thought it just wasn't Call of Duty. So I didn't pick up Black Ops 3. I didn't pick up Infinite Warfare, the space one, because I had no desire to play that, because that's not Call of Duty. That's Halo. That's Halo with Call of Duty game mechanics. But Game Tyrant got to play Call of Duty World War II, the beta, and they're reporting that it is the Call of Duty game that's going to bring back the old fans, bring back the senior players. Like I said, not only have I played every Call of Duty game up until Black Ops 3, I have owned every Call of Duty game up until Black Ops 3. Most of them I have bought the Prestige Edition release, which is the $150 special edition.
Nice.
I got like the little RC car. I got the night vision goggles that came with it. I mean, I have had so many stupid little Call of Duty knickknacks just to have all the extra features of the game. And I just couldn't bring myself to play Black Ops 3. Black Ops 1, excellent. Black Ops 2, excellent. Black Ops 3, honestly, I wanted to play it, but I was so burnt out of all these extra bells and whistles from Advanced Warfare that I could not care. Like, I could not make myself care about Black Ops 3. And Sledgehammer Games, so the little history lesson on Call of Duty, all the way up until, I think, Modern Warfare 3, Treyarch and Infinity Ward were the two studios that kind of passed Call of Duty back and forth. So basically, one of the studios was releasing a Call of Duty game every 2 years. So Infinity Ward and then Treyarch, and then Infinity Ward and then Treyarch. And then I'm pretty sure it was Modern Warfare 3 that was released by Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer Games. And when Sledgehammer came in, Modern Warfare 3, huge hit. Arguably, and this is completely based on opinion and not on statistics, arguably the best-selling Call of Duty game. It was the one that got everybody into Call of Duty that wasn't already in it. And Sledgehammer, from that release, worked their way into the rotation. So they've been doing... they've done a couple more since then. I don't remember which ones. But they are actually the ones behind Call of Duty World War II. And I'm super amped for this game. So in the review of the beta that Game Tyrant had, they talked about a couple new additions. A couple new additions to the game, yeah. Divisions being one of them. Divisions is kind of like your class, but it allows you to focus on a particular set of weapons. So as you continue through the game, you unlock certain things for this particular set of weapons, allowing you to have things for those weapons that someone at the same tier, the same level, might not have because they're concentrating on a different division, which I think is super neat. I think that's really awesome. Another thing is War, which is a brand new game mode. It's objective based, and the attacking team must destroy, build, or escort said objective while the other team defends. They compared it to Rush mode in the Battlefield series, which I think is super cool. I really like that concept. It's kind of reminds me of a more mature version of some of the game styles that were already there, like Search and Destroy and Capture the Flag, but more war-based. I mean, plainly stated, it's a war game. It's an FPS war game, and I think that's super cool that they're bringing that like invasion element to it. And then the last thing is the final kill cam. For as long as Call of Duty's been around on multiplayer, the final kill cam in a multiplayer match is the last kill. It just shows you in slow motion from the view of the killer, the last kill. However, they've added some new game mechanics, some new logic to the game that will show the most memorable kill of the match instead of the last one, which is way cooler because some of the time, sometimes I've seen some that are just like random accidents. Like somebody like misfires a grenade launcher and it hits a car and it blows this guy up that just so happens to be running past the door. like running past the doorway in a building, but runs past the doorway just in time for the explosion. And it's like, man, that took zero skill. Yeah. Like that was a complete accident, but it's really cool that they're adding that mechanic, which is kind of taking a cue from Overwatch, which I really, really love that. But yeah, I'm really excited about this game. I might actually even pick it up, get me back into Call of Duty, which I'm sure my wife is going to love.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see it come out. It's coming out November 3rd. Yeah, pineapple. And that's it. That's everything. You made it through the show.
Yay!
Good for you. Thanks to everybody for sticking around. If you want to sponsor the show, check out Patreon, Satchel, Amazon. You can find all of those by going to betweenthecons.com/ any of those 3 words. Also at betweenthecons.com, you can stream our episodes online, link out to all of our social media. Check out our theme music contributor, Ifixa, on betweenthecons.com/bandcamp. And last thing, make sure you subscribe. We release new content every Monday and Thursday. And speaking of Monday, we have a Topic Thunder episode for you. We're going to be talking about the Inhumans on Monday. Talking a little bit about the IMAX premiere, as well as just a little bit of background for those of you that might not know who the Inhumans are. So yeah. Tune in on Monday, subscribe, go to our website. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
God bless you all. Take care. Thanks. Bye. Okay, we'll cut that, and then that's fine. Okay.